how long Iran can fight the United States of America. And before I start this, let me tell you what Iran has done. Iran has fired supersonic missiles. For the first time, Iran has fired supersonic missiles. And they have released the footage. It means that Iran is going up the escalatory ladder. There is no system in the world. There is no system in the world that can prevent a supersonic strike. Let me break this for our viewers, that Iran has taken out its most important weapon. So the question that dominates the escalating US-Iran conflict, how long will this war last? Iran's press TV has claimed it has fired Khyber-Shekan missile at US-Israeli enemy targets. The Khyber-Shekan is positioned as a medium-range system capable of striking targets across Israel and US military facilities in West Asia from Iranian territory. Meanwhile, Washington is sending mixed signals. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth insists that this will not be another endless war. President Donald Trump has refused to set any deadline. He says the US will do whatever it takes, adding that they have the capability to sustain operations well beyond the anticipated 4 to 5 week long offensive.
Right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored.
Trump has all the latitude in the world to talk about how long it may or may not take. 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks. It could move up. It could move back. We're going to execute at his command the objectives we've set out to achieve. And what he has shown an ability to do that other presidents can't quite seem to have the aperture to do is to look for opportunities and off-ramps and escalations for the United States.
Literally, Iran was built for endurance. Estimates suggest Tehran still holds around 2,000 to 2,500 ballistic missiles. These include short, medium, and long-range systems capable of striking US bases across the Gulf and beyond. Its missile force is the largest and most varied in West Asia. Underground missile cities protect launch systems from airstrikes. Mobile launchers make rapid neutralization difficult. Drone swarms extend strike endurance. Cruise missiles widen options. This is not a one-day retaliation doctrine. It is designed for prolonged, cost-raising conflict. Then there is geography. The Strait of Hormuz carries nearly 20% of the world's oil supply. Around 20 million barrels pass through daily. Even the threat of disruption can spike oil prices and rattle global markets. Iran has threatened to attack any vessel passing through Strait of Hormuz, and layered air defense systems designed to complicate sustained air campaigns. But the United States holds overwhelming conventional superiority. So the real question is not just who is stronger, it is this: can Iran endure long enough to turn this into a costly war of attrition? For Trump, the agenda is clear: destroy Iran's missile capabilities, annihilate Iran's naval capacity, ensure Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon, prevent the Iranian regime from arming, funding, and directing militant groups beyond its borders. Donald Trump claims Iran's Navy, Air Force, new capabilities have been eliminated. Iran has shot back. There is no room for negotiations. The only way to speak to US is the language of attack. So the big question: how long can Iran fight America and Israel? On this issue, I am joined by Ambassador Veena Sikri, former Indian diplomat, and Major General Sudhakarji. Sir, my question to you is very simply, can Iran hold on for next 5 weeks?
Oh, more than that, Kartikeya, never underestimate anyone, let alone an adversary of America, because Iran is a civilizational country. And like you have been actually, you are one of the anchors in the mainstream media who's been pointedly asking about what is the political objective of USA or Israel. I'm asking the same question. What is the political objective of USA in this mission? Do they have an objective? Is regime change is an objective? Can they change the regime?
Sir, can they change the regime through air power? Have you ever read in the history books, sir? You are a thinking general. Have you read in anywhere where air power has changed the regime without boots on ground, sir?
Absolutely, bang on, spot on, Kartikeya. I must compliment for your cerebral acumen. But let me also share certain things. You see, unfortunately, I'm compelled to make this statement in your platform like yours. USA and Israel have not understood what Iran is. Unfortunately, the ambassador ma'am will bear me out. I am a military man. I know how to speak my heart out. They have not understood Iran. So as many countries in the world. Iran is not like a Venezuela or small little tiny Cuban 4,150 odd islands. Iran is a historic, it is a civilizational power. And when you talk about the regime, what is the meaning of regime? By knocking off the head of the regime or by severing the neck of the head of the snake is still alive. They need to understand the regime. It is a theocratic society. Theocracy has to be understood in totality. What is the meaning of theocracy? It is a way of life. People may be dissension within. 73% people live in urban areas. 27% remain in the rural areas. They are the least affected people as far as the information warfare or what is happening in Tehran is concerned. So those 73%, unfortunately, whenever a country in the world, historically, if you study, they are subjected to external attack, it has been proven beyond doubt that despite of difference of opinion, divide within the society, they come back together, they get galvanized. Today, the parameters, the statistics in Iran, while almost about 56% were anti-regime at one particular point, that has dropped down to less than 18%. So you can well imagine that 73% of the urban population is now leaning towards with the pro-regime kind of signatures. So coming back to the point that you made, is that political objective, how long will it last? It is not how long Iran will last. You see, let me take you back in time.
I'll come to that, sir, because, let me just break it down, because there's another question I made for Ambassador Sikri. Madam, before the collapse, there is a psychological collapse. Do you think that there will be a psychological collapse for the regime? And how does a collapse take place of a state? Are we looking at, Syria or Libya to sort of a situation where there is a mass exodus? Or are we looking at like an Afghan experience where, there's a sustained attrition over a long period of time?
Well, I think, first of all, President Trump has actually stated his objectives. He gave a press conference yesterday and he stated 4 objectives. He said, first, we are destroying Iran's missile capabilities. Second, we are annihilating their navy. Third, we are ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon. And finally, we are ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside their territory. So these are the 4 objectives he has stated for this operation. And we also know that in the beginning, on the first day, when Israel made the strikes and the leadership was annihilated, at that time, I think Israel to a certain extent forced the hands of President Trump, because it was not very clear at that time whether President Trump was going to join in immediately. But then he did join in, and he spoke about 4 to 5 days. He said we're going to finish it in 4 to 5 days. And within 3 days of this happening, he's already said 4 to 5 weeks. So you can see that the number of days has gone up considerably from 4 to 5 days to 4 to 5 weeks, which means more than a month. So I think these objectives that he's listed out is he's saying that they're going to take 4 to 5 weeks to complete. I think for the internal situation in Iran, it is absolutely true that President Trump was hoping that once the leadership is annihilated, Supreme Leader Khomeini is annihilated, he actually appealed to the people, to the protesters, because we do know that the figure of 56%, which was given just now by General Sudhakarji, that there were a large number of people opposing the regime. They had come on the street several times. The women were opposing. The youngsters were opposing. There was a large opposition. But it seems that this opposition is not wanting or able to come on the streets and claim power today. In fact, they have gone into survival mode, as they say, and they are hiding because there's this carpet bombing of Tehran going on and the destruction of all the capacities. Now, if indeed USA has these 4 objectives that they have spelled out, this is what they are trying to do through the bombing, annihilate the Navy, annihilate the missile capabilities. Now, we know that as on the 4th day today, the response of Iran is still continuing. They're firing, as you're showing in your visual, they're firing supersonic missiles. There's talk that they've got this hypersonic missile from China. The agreement was supposed to have been concluded. We know that China is actually controlling all the satellite monitoring and giving the data to Iran, so they're depending entirely on
And that, madam, one thing is very, I wouldn't use the word funny, but strange. Despite helping Iran, they're also asking them to open the Strait of Hormuz, madam. They're helping them militarily, but they're asking them to open the Strait of Hormuz, ma'am.
Yes, but that is the second plank of the Iranian response. One is, first of all, their missile and supersonic, hypersonic missile response. But second response of Iran seems to be directed towards destroying the economic capabilities of the Middle East, of the Gulf countries. We've seen that they've attacked Bahrain and Kuwait and Qatar and UAE, and of course as far as Jordan and the Royal Air Force bases in Cyprus and so on. So they have really weakened the financial and prosperity haven that the Gulf countries had become. The economy in Dubai is, the airport has barely opened. Now flights from Abu Dhabi have started. Qatar has said they've stopped all LNG production. That's a huge blow. And all the countries are pleading, including China, because they receive a lot of oil through the Straits of Hormuz. But Iran has said no. And any ship trying to cross, they haven't declared that the Straits of Hormuz are closed. They're just preventing any vehicle, any ship, any vessel from sailing in or out. So this economic disruption that is coming in through the Iran's capacities, this depends entirely on how we assess Iran's own capacity. How many missiles they have, how many have they used so far? And will they have, for example, UAE, people are saying that UAE has been able to intercept 92% of the missiles that Iran has targeted at them. But again, UAE's capacity to intercept is very limited. So they're soon going to run out of that capacity. Because every time they launch that interceptor missile that degrades their capacity further, it's very, very expensive, but it's degrading the capacity that they have. So will UAE be able to last out with their interceptor capacity, or will the Iran be able to overcome it by having more missiles?
Ma'am, I asked you the question, can regime have a psychological collapse? Because the leaders need to collapse before the state collapses.
Yes. That's a very important question and a very good question. I think this psychological warfare is a very important part of what is going on today. Whether it is cyberspace bullying or psycho ops, this is all happening. But within Iran, at the moment, everybody seems to have rallied around the leadership council, the transition leadership council, which consists of the president Masoud Pezeshkian and the newly appointed Ayatollah Arafi and the Chief Justice Ghulam Hossein Ejai. So they have rallied around that, but whether the pain inflicted by the carpet bombing which started yesterday, carpet bombing by American and Israeli forces, whether that pain that they are inflicting, whether that is going to break down the spirit of the Iranian people or who have rallied around the leadership. This is something that, of course, the West is trying. And if they are able to break down that solidarity, which is present, which is very evident today, even though a lot of the IRGC leadership has been killed, even though, there's been every effort to take out the key people, the Iranians are still at it today. They're still sending out the missiles and inflicting destruction on other countries. So, will their missiles run out? First question. Will the solidarity of the people break? Second question. When America has assured the world that they're ready to go for 4 to 5 weeks, this is a very long period, and that itself
Okay.
may cause a lot of psychological damage to the group in Iran. So
Okay.
it is a very, very, I would say, balanced on the tenterhooks right now. We'll know in a couple of days which way it's going, but certainly the West is aimed fully at tiring them out and breaking their spirit
Okay.
and interception capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sudhakar ji, a military question to you. In context of escalatory ladder, which is a military term, where do you put this stage of war between Iran, Israel, and America right now?
It's a very brilliant question you have asked. Escalatory ladder will always have an entry point and an exit point. As of now, USA and Israel, they have decided the entry point, but the exit strategy is not clear. That is where the centrality of your question actually lies. When until the exit that is why the Putin is unable to finish the war. You see, the answer to your question, Kartikeya, if you allow me, lies in only one point. It is not the capacity of a country. Iran, take your mind back to 1969, what Henry Kissinger said. The conventional army loses if it doesn't win. The guerrilla wins if it doesn't lose. What it means? A guerrilla warfare is an unending warfare. You are compelling Iran to take recourse to guerrilla. They are masters of handling the proxies, and sooner or later, a theocratic society will be forced to become a guerrilla country. That is what is more dangerous. I am fearing that a new Vietnam is being created by USA. USA will do well to introspect and think loud enough, not that go by the sway of events. From 4 days, it has swung to 4 to 5 weeks. My estimate is, never underestimate, it is not 3,000 missiles that you and me and ma'am are talking of. They have got much more, the inventory. Go by the calculation, 1984-85, they started the missile production with a target end state of 300 missiles per month. Okay? And in 1 year, they used to produce 3,600. You Google up, carry on research. You'll find these figures corroborated. And okay, you grant them 1980 to 1988, Iran-Iraq war. No, defense industry actually got totally destabilized. Then couple of them, Desert Storm 1, Desert Storm 2, they couldn't do anything much. But if you count from early part of 90s till 2025, this 35 years multiplied by 3,600 minus 12 day of conflict of 2025 June.
Okay.
People say they have expended something to the tune of 4,000. I am saying you give them 6,000 missiles have been spent. But worse than that, Kartikeya, I must compliment you. For the first time, perhaps one of the channels is bringing out supersonic. When you talk about the supersonic, does anyone know that Iran has developed, what is that?
Hypersonic glide vehicle?
Hataf 2 missile, which moves at a speed of 15 Mach. 15 Mach is nothing but 18,000 kilometers per hour. That is the speed.
Okay.
That any equipment, any interceptor to intercept this track and intercept has to be faster than 18,000 kilometers.
Absolutely.
Does anyone in the world have got this kind of speed?
I know, General. What you're talking about is that what is required is the exit strategy. Ele, it's good to have you back. I hope the data is working. Ele joins me from Jerusalem. I hope you're safe.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Ele, you safe?
Yes, we are safe. Thank you.
Good to know that. So the larger rubric of the content on which we were having the conversation is how long Iran can hold. How it's not Libya, it's not Syria, it's not even Afghanistan. It's a full-fledged modern state. So what is your assessment? How long USA can continue to wage war? And how long can Iran as a state which has gone into a sort of a decentralized mode resist?
I think it's a great question, and that is the million-dollar question. I can say that from my own perspective, I was here in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem on Saturday, when the war began, I went into the bomb shelter more than 10 times, probably a dozen times. Constantly. Since then, On Sunday, a handful of times. Today, once. Yesterday, I think 3 times. It's diminishing. And I don't think this is, and our sense is that every time Iran is shooting missiles at us, because we have complete domination of the airspace, we can target those SAS, the surface-to-air systems, and we're able to take them out. More important than how many missiles or rockets they have, it's how many launchers they have. The amount of launchers they have is getting very limited. It's just in the matter of a few hundred, and every time they use a launcher, they lose it. So there is a lot of hesitance of them to continue to resisting, which is why we're seeing other opportunities, other areas. They're focusing on different targets, not Israel. They're focusing more in the Arab world, in the Gulf. They're focusing on data centers. They're trying to very quickly create a sense of chaos, a sense of pain for much of the world, to try to put pressure on the international community and on President Trump to try to stop the war. Iran does not have the ability to stay as long as Israel and America want to continue fighting, but they can try to put political pressure, diplomatic pressure. That's what they're counting on.
Are you saying that by taking down the launchers, you will be able to neutralize the threat of supersonic ballistic missiles or supersonic projectiles?
Not necessarily supersonic, but I will say that in general, most of the attacks that have gone against Israel primarily are ballistic in nature. Those we are able to handle in that way. Listen, there are threats that they have, but I'll say that there's also a lot of threats and activities that Israel has that has not unveiled yet. Obviously, over the last little bit, Israel has been able to unveil the beeper campaign, which was brand new. Multiple times over the course of the last couple of years, Israel has seduced its enemies to come together, all the leadership together. We just saw that on Saturday. Got the leadership of Iran once again to come together in a vulnerable state. Israel was able to take them out. Israel has a lot of elements that he has not released yet, and I think we will be seeing in the coming days. And President Trump has the same thing about American power, that America has not unleashed its strongest powers yet, and I think we will be seeing that in the coming days as well.
Okay, I'll take the closing comment from you, Sudhakarji, because I'm running short of time. Ambassador Sikri, is it correct that a lot of articles were written that the red lines that were pushed in West Asian theatre are the Israeli red lines, not the American red lines? Is it correct or wrong?
Well, I think Israel is in the forefront of this attack, so the red lines are very much the Israeli red lines. But I think in terms of how long this war will last, I think it's been correctly stated by our co-panelists from Israel. It depends on how long their launchers will last and how long the inflicting of damage that Iran is trying on the Gulf countries, how long that process will continue. And as long as that process continues, we have pressure definitely mounting from the Gulf countries themselves to stop the war. China today has called for an end to the military operations. India has called for dialogue and diplomacy in a very strong way. India has been in touch with many leaders across the region and including with Israel and others to actually bring in halt cessation of hostilities. And I think this effort must go on because the kind of destruction of economic infrastructure that has lasting and global impact, that impacts every country, So I think together with the ability or the effort to destroy the terrorist groups that are being sponsored by Iran. Nobody's in favor of terrorism. Everybody wants it.
I think the biggest story of the day today is, madam, that in 48 hours, Prime Minister Modi has spoken with the leaders of 8 countries: UAE, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait and Qatar. I think that's the biggest story that's emanating. You don't need to say anything apart from that. Closing comment from you, General Sudhakarji. I've really run short of time.
The answer to your question is who blinks first, USA or Iran? 12-day conflict of June 2025, everyone expected Iran to blink first. It didn't. USA blinked first. It is not the capacity of a country to continue the conflict. It is the larger good of the universal stability. Last point, the political objective is not what has been read out, that nuclear, non-state actor, regime change, missiles. Political objective is, will USA and Israel leave a stable Iran and Middle East? Will it
Okay.
contribute to global peace and harmony? That is
Okay.
the political objective, not the military objective which is
Okay.
there.